So it's a moon with, looking at the metal distribution, it all seems relatively even, although there is a sort of bare patch on one of the sides. So
Yeah.
it definitely looks as though the sort of North Pole is the place to be.
And North Pole looks pretty strong. Pink position here where Matiz just spawned in also looks pretty strong. So hello and welcome everybody to Game 1 in King of the Planet number 8, hosted by ExodusEsports.com. I'm ZaphodX. I'm joined here by Marshall.
Hello there.
And looking at a moon as the first planet. We've got that veto initially from Matiz. So we're going to host on a moon this time. And over here at the equator in pink is Matiz. He is going to be going for a first air factory. If we scroll up to the North Pole over here in grey, we see Clopse, who's also going for a first air factory. What do you think about those openings?
I think it's interesting that they've both gone first air on this map. I mean, it's not a particularly large planet by any stretch of the imagination. And especially now that Clopse has decided to follow it up with a second air, I find that especially interesting. And Matiz going bot second, vehicle third. They're definitely mixing and matching already.
Yeah, interesting stuff. Going out with scouts initially now for Clopse. And looks like a second scout. No, sorry, that's a fighter.
Yeah. Also one out from Matiz, who's going to be getting his commander building up some P-gens. A Bumblebee straight out as well. That's going to find 0 targets, other than perhaps getting a little bit of damage done on the comm. But that is if he gets past the Hummingbirds, which are already coming out from Clopse.
Yeah, Clopse has now scouted this area. He sees the second bot factory being built, sees that Bumblebee just been built. His fighter's now going to come in and intercept it as he goes around the outside, and he's caught it. Not going to get away there. 1 hit, 1 kill, and a nice early little win there for Clopse. Good play.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely sort of put Matiz in an interesting position because he now knows that Clopse has gone air, and he's got bots out, and Clopse has also gone second air. Has Matiz scouted the second air? He has not. He actually hasn't yet found where Clopse has spawned, which is really good for Clopse, I guess, at this point.
He's sending out his bomb bots, however, and they are moving very quickly. I think he has a really good idea of where he's coming from the direction of the fighters and the timing. And as he comes in here, right into the middle of the base, we'll see how he does. The boom bot's very, very quick. Gets shot down there by the commander.
Yeah, I mean, boombots aren't particularly great against buildings anymore. You want to try and get off Faber snipes with them, simply because building health has effectively been triplicated, and not all that much damage extra been added on in the balance. So, I mean, you want to try and get ground Faber kills with your boombots more than anything else.
2 bombers now out for Clopse, and he has 2 of those air factories. Wow, is that a third one coming down now? All air build coming out from Clopse here with the 3rd air factory coming down. First bomber coming in, trying to come in at these engineers now. Looks like he's going to get off the target. Single fire there to accompany him. Off goes that first bomb, and down goes that first engineer. Those fighters still hovering over Matiz's base as well, denying any fighters coming out to defend. Commander trying to put some damage in on that bomber as he turns around for another bombing run.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely... He's also managed to scout the vehicle factory there, which is kind of crucial. I wonder what Matiz will build out of it. Probably some ground AA, simply because he is so well blockaded by Clopse with regards to his air production. The moment that Hummingbird gets out, it just gets absolutely shredded by those standing forces there.
Wow, 4th engineer goes down, Bombot manages to survive it, and more fighters coming in, and the patrol route on those fighters as well, managing to hold just outside range of the commander while they patrol next to that fighter. 1 fighter does, however, come out and to get rid of that bomber, but 3 engineers now down. That's a big disadvantage for Matiz, and currently he's just got 1 bombot being sent over and another one on the other side as well,
Clopse
and no engineers on the field.
So I was just going to say, because Clopse has just lost about half of his Hummingbirds by just hovering them over that spinner sat in the middle of Matiz's base. Just a single one managed to take out all of that and force Clopse to retreat. So Matiz has bought himself a little bit of time here, I think. But Clopse already going up a 4th factory, while Matiz is still struggling to get out Fabers and expand even a little bit.
Yeah, not looking too good. However, if we look at the eco scores, things are actually very even. Same medal income now, and slightly further ahead in terms of power income for Matiz, because Clopse has been forced to go all air here. He hasn't had that much opportunity to get out engineers and start expanding of his own. Currently, we've got some bombots around the outside of Clopse's base, and they're just scouting around, trying to find somewhere to kill some expanding engineers.
Yeah, Clopse has just queued up a 5th factory, which will be a vehicle factory, so we might see some fabbers coming out there. We have got a couple of air fabbers sort of roaming around doing a little bit of expansion, but meanwhile Matiz has now just queued up 4 extra vehicle factories, so this is where your tank production will start to really shine.
Yeah, Clopse also putting up another vehicle factory as well. So both teams now putting in some ground unit production, moving forwards with a whole load of air units from Clopse. 4 bombers leading the way. A couple of fighters coming in behind as well. In come those fighters, getting rid of those fighters from Matiz. A couple of bombs coming at the engineers there. 2 engineers go down. Nice play, dropping another couple of bombs over the power gens here, but a lot less damage being done to buildings right now. The high value targets really are those engineers and stopping that expansion.
Unfortunately, the spinners aren't close enough to that expanding fabber, so it'll probably get shot down eventually. Although, interestingly, he's changed his route and he's actually trying to take out the spinner now, taking a couple of losses, and indeed a bumblebee goes down there. I think he might have diverted back onto a fabber now, but an interesting choice to go for the AA. Because it is one of the only 2 spinners in his base at that point, although there's now producing a lot more. So Matiz has definitely sorted himself out as to keeping Clopse at bay with this build.
Yeah, more spinners coming out now, and there's engineers assisting on that factory to try and get them out quicker. Now a decent amount of anti-air out, so he should be able to hold out on the air front, even though we see a lot of T1 bombers beginning to get produced by Clopse. I definitely think we'll see Matiz get back on his feet very soon. If we look at the incomes right now, Matiz absolutely surging ahead with 115 medal income to 65. Clopse just hasn't been expanding at all, no ground engineers to actually expand here. And he really needs to do something with his air units if he's going to manage to get some wins, because he's falling behind in terms of the eco game.
Yeah, he has got out 1 ground fabber now, so it's going to start getting his metal. But that, I think the problem is he's been concentrating so hard on his air micro that he's just sort of neglected his base to some degree, sort of left his commander on a build queue and just been trying to get off as many sort of snipes as he can. But I guess now that Matiz's base is really sort of becoming more and more of an anti-air fortress, Clopse definitely does need to target expansions and only expansions until he can really get up a ground force, I feel.
Couple of spinners there taken care of, a little bit of overkill in terms of Clopse there, but in he comes in for some more, trying to get out more of those anti-air. Goes in at the metal extractor, yeah, so he unfortunately doesn't take care of any of those anti-air.
Another expanding fabber goes down. Is he going to see the metal on the other side? No, he does not. Doesn't see that, so that fabber's going to live to fight another day, or build another day. There we are.
There's a couple more bombers as he flies by those anti-air as well. More air factories now coming out from Matiz, 3 planned and 3 engineers building, so they're going to be pretty quick. A couple of tanks also coming in from Clopse as well, being a bit aggressive on the ground front now. I think both players really need to think about expanding, building up their eco, and doing raiding as well.
Yeah, Matiz finally getting a good scout over Clopse's base, seeing what's going on, seeing a lot of bombers, a lot of hummingbirds as well, and also seeing those 3 vehicle factories. So he's going to realise, Clopse is transitioning here. I'm just going to take advantage of this and try and really hammer him home while he's still trying to build up a ground force to counter me at this point.
Very nice little drive-by there. 3 engineers go down that were building the air factories for Matiz. Nice little win there from Clopse, but a lot of tanks coming forwards and a couple of Infernos in the mix as well for Matiz. Much less tanks coming forwards for Clopse, but they're in the right position right now as they come forwards, take care of a mech. Might be able to take care of this radar as well just as they get into range. That's a nice little win in terms of the raiding and positioning of their units there. Managing to take down that forward radar does definitely hurt Matiz quite a bit.
Yeah, looking over to the sort of southeast of Matiz's base there on his little expansion, he's starting to hunker down there with a good couple of anti-air towers and a laser tower as well. So Clopse is definitely going to fall behind with regards to countering Matiz's expansions, though this is a significant air raid coming in here. Is he going to get the fabber kill? It looks as though that is likely, except missing them, targeting instead the spinners. Here comes the fabber now.
Yeah, that was a good move. He went for the ground anti-air and then he took out the anti-air turret, and now he has free reign to destroy all of this. That's a really big win actually. It doesn't look like much, but if we look at the eco right now, currently leading 142 to 135, he's actually going to fall behind after he loses these mechs and that engineer, so that's a very nice little win for Clopse.
However, looking at Matiz's base, he's grouped up a rather large number of hummingbirds, which is certainly enough to put a little bit of pain to this Clopse's air force there. Though Clopse certainly still outnumbers with regards to the hummingbirds, but and for not too much longer there are a significant number of air factories producing solely hummingbirds, while Clopse is sort of having to juggle between hummingbirds and bumblebees, while meanwhile Matiz has got that sort of rather large tank force there, just sort of skirting around the side of Clopse base.
Yeah, just coming straight in at Clopse's base there, to the left-hand side of Matiz's base as well. Nice little bit of raiding from Clopse. Has taken care of that factory, a couple of those metal extractors and the air turret now, and winning him some nice ground and stopping that expansion from Matiz. Great work there. But these raiding forces from Matiz are going to do a little bit of work and see what they can do. Coming up against some bombers though, quite a lot of anti-air in the mix though, a little bit of area of effect. Quite a few of them go down, but I think ultimately losing quite a lot of bombers there. And he's now going to be able to finish off mopping up that little group. So attacks stopped from Matiz. Clopse beginning to really gain some steam and some traction here, but he's still very far behind in terms of power.
And he's also falling behind in terms of his anti-air. Matiz now outnumbering him with hummingbirds, which is going to put his bombing forces in a tricky situation. I think Clopse should probably transition more to hummingbirds than to bombers, and also get up more vehicle factories, because he's sort of stopped producing things, especially with his commander there standing idle. Not the best thing for his commander to be doing. You always want to be doing something with your commander at all times.
Yeah, this is a pretty interesting situation. All of those fighters obviously coming out now from Matiz. He's got to concentrate on fighters just to control the air, and he's soon going to overtake Clopse and start winning the air war. So Clopse definitely needs to make a switch up to fighters and maintain the air control. Also a little bit behind in terms of unit production. If we go over to the army tab, we can see 100 mobile units compared to 70 in favour of Matiz. Yeah, he definitely needs to concentrate on the ground units here. Incoming a whole load of bombers, and there's very little anti-air there, so all of that area of effect goes down. Loads of Infernos, couple of T1 tanks as well, and getting some good wins in against those ground forces.
And Clopse's tank force there retreating away. He probably could have pushed in a little bit there and finished it off. However, instead he's elected to move back and take out this proxy vehicle factory that's just poking him in the kidneys every so often. So he's just going to clear that up and make sure he knows what is between him and Matiz and what is not.
Yep, good work for him, getting nice little wins on the raiding. Lots of defensive forces coming in from Matiz. About to do a pincer movement on 3 sides here. As long as he's a little bit careful with his placement, he's probably going to come in.
Clopse now seeing the commander on the front as well, so this might be an opportunity for him to get some damage off with his bombers, which are sort of sat idle in his base, though the rest of his bombing force, I think, has been taken out completely. I cannot find it.
Yep, I think he's lost a lot of his air units and kind of realises now that he's really got to get back on track. Matiz, however, doing a great job as he now takes a slight lead in terms of medal and expanding all over the place. We see engineers all over the place expanding in lots of different areas, doing great work. Clopse trying to do a little bit of counter raiding, but really here you need a huge amount of scouting. All over the place. Even
more interestingly, Matiz knows he's got the air war sorted, and he's even transitioning to a couple of bumblebees here and there with his air factories as well, taking out a few tanks here and there. And now seeing this sort of lowly expansion with very little anti-air, the bumblebee now turning to target that fabricator. That's going to go down. The factory does finish first, though. Very close.
Yeah, good work trying to get rid of that engineer, but that factory finishing will give it a little bit more survivability. More attacks coming in at Clopse's base, however. One of those attacks coming in with a couple of Infernos, and different groups now moving around for Matiz. But it looks like not too much is going to be done unless he has some more bumblebees in terms of the air front.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to do too much damage, this force, because Clopse's commander is there as well, and there's only a couple of well, in fact, there's only one Inferno there, and because, of course, the building health has been triplicated, he'll just lose those units and probably won't even manage to kill off a factory, so it's a good reason for him to retreat there, which he has done.
Bombers coming in to clean up some of these raiding tanks from Clopse. Fighters actually come in, destroy all of them, leaving those tanks surviving. Fighters then clear them up in terms of Matiz. No, he's managed to get away. Nice work from Clopse, managing to hide around here. Going to try and get some scouting intel before he gets taken down.
Yeah, even more raiding tanks on the South Pole there, just taking out a Fabber as well that was sat idle. So expanding Fabbers are few and far between now from Matiz. There is a boombot on the far side of the planet by one of Clopse expansions, just getting a cheeky bit of intel. Although, of course, their vision range really isn't great, but it's just sort of standing there just in case a Fabbo goes and decides to build something along those lines.
Now moving forwards for Matiz as he leads 200 medal income to 130. Clopse actually losing out a bit, doing a good job trying to raid all over the place. But Matiz just really expanding so much in so many different areas, making it hard for Clopse actually to do that raiding as he comes in to defend against these ants coming in.
Yeah, Matiz certainly has a lot of factories now, 20 to Clopse's 12, so he's outproducing him and out-ecoing him as well. This is a really dire situation for Clopse.
Yeah, huge amount more metal invested in the units as well, as we look at 78k metal compared to 55k.
Yeah, Clopse trying to get up some more vehicle factories though, while Matiz is sort of popping them up everywhere really. His commander's falling idle again though, which he probably could be using, though he is stalling on power, so again, commander could be building power. But that's a very significant standing force inside Matiz's base there. All of those tanks. Not too much anti-air though, so because Clopse's AA bombing force has sort of been neutralised, he doesn't really need to be worrying too much about spinners, so he can transition all of that production into tanks and infernos.
Multiple attack groups coming in at Clopse's base now, as we see 3 little groups coming in around the back of Clopse's base. This is really bad. Commander out of position. All the units being moved in to try and deal with him. At the moment, just fighters as he tries to regain air control. No bombers to help deal with this. Inferno's coming forward, tanking some of the damage while some of these factories go down from T1 tank fire. Also coming in against the power supply. Definitely not good for Matiz at all. Got to stop that group as a matter of priority. A couple of bomb bots also coming in, doing a tiny bit of damage there, but not getting too far. More and more attacks now coming in from the front lines, and Matiz is really piling on the pressure as the power gens go down, as Infernos begin to focus them down, and that really is the beginning of the end once you start losing your power, as he's now beginning to get surrounded. And the GGs do get called.
Yeah, that was a really good game from Matiz there. I mean, Clopse really sort of throwing a wobbly with a lot of air in the early game, and Matiz knowing that he just had to counter that by producing his own anti-air, and then once he had assumed that anti-air control, he could sort of transition all of that into his tanks, which ultimately won the game there. Really good play.
Well, good game to Matiz. He leads 1-0 on Clopse's map choice.
Should we have a talk with the players, or is that not for another couple of games?
Yeah, which one do you want to talk to?
How about Matiz?
Sounds like a plan.
Hello, Matiz.
Hello, hello.
Great play there, countering the air assault from Clopse really early on in the game. Did you see that coming? I guess not.
Thanks, man. Jeez, this game was so intense. Well, yeah, as I said, I have not really idea what's good, what build orders are good early on. I tried these bots and interceptors, but that didn't work too well. So I feel like I was behind in early game. I'm not sure. But then, obviously, as standard Clopse, he didn't expand and didn't get his big economy. I mean, didn't expand his economy, so I managed to overrun him eventually. I think that's what happened.
It looked like a pretty interesting game. I think those fighters were pretty interesting at the start. Very heavy on the air. I think he went for 4 air factories before he did anything, but you managed to really keep your cool and maintain your eco expansion. Just hold on a little bit more solidly than he did.
Yeah, exactly. I knew that such opening often it's the economy in such opening is not good. So what I did also is that I managed to snipe one of his air fabbers early on, so that this way I knew that my economy would be comparable or even bigger maybe. But I just needed to. Well, I think ground AA is still good enough to allow me to expand on the ground and then just overrun with the superior economy later on. But I must say I was really surprised, and that was a great idea from him. And I actually was like 2 months ago I was theory crafting about such builds, but I decided that they are not optimal and not that good. But it seems like he pulled it off, and he pulled it off really nicely. So hats off to Clopse, and congratulations for not getting raped so early. I mean, owned.
You still confident for the rest of the games then?
Yeah, I think it will be It will be intense, but I think eventually I would win.
Okie doke. So I guess it's your choice of map now.
Yeah, right. Is
Okay,
it?
so-
No, it's his. I think loser picks them up, right?
But we alternate. So you get 3 picks on the challenges map.
I don't know. I don't know the rules, honestly. Quitch? Oh, first quitch.
Lord
Yeah.
and Savior Quitch.
Yeah, I was preparing my build order while he was presenting rules, so I don't know. I think it's Clopse to pick map. I'm not sure. Well, I think he is.
Well, GG again. Congratulations on your first win.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll go
thanks.
speak to Clopse and we'll see you later.
Good enough, I don't think. I think it's a solid build of executed better, and he took out my air fabric, which really slowed me down a bit. But there's builds like that I've played, and I've played against just like average players, and it's worked really well. So I was trying to get someone to play that's actually will know how to counter it. So, but no one was available to play. So I had a feeling that could go down. What happened there? But I thought I could still manage to snipe his factories or something. But the ground AA was pretty strong.
Definitely an interesting game though. You got any other more tricks up your sleeve?
No, I think my builds are going to be pretty similar to that. I think the problem I had there is I didn't expand at all, and when he took out the Farber, and my commander was idle a bit too much as well. So I keep changing my build in the middle of my commander's build order, and then he will assist the factory instead of continuing on the build. So I need to keep my eye on that.
Okie doke. Well, loser picks the next game. So if you want to host up on a planet that you like, and we will see you in game C.